Hello students, welcome again to your video lectures. So students, as we are studying about the prose Papachi's Moth by Arundhati Roy, I had already told you about Arundhati Roy and we have started with a brief summary of chapter and somewhat we have also read the chapter a little bit. So let us continue chapter reading. I never want this to happen again, he told his father ever. So Chaco warned his father Papachi that he never repeat it again. That is, never ever to beat Mamachi, his mom. Okay. For the rest of that day, Papachi sat in the veranda and stared stonily out at the ornamental garden, ignoring the plates of food that Kochu Maria brought him. So the left remaining day, Papachi sat in the veranda and looked vacantly out at the ornamental garden with his eyes widely opened, ignoring the food brought by Kochu Maria. Late at night, he went into his study and brought out his favorite mahogany rocking chair. He put it down in the middle of the driveway and smashed it into little bits with a plumber's monkey wrench. So, at the late night, he walked into his room and brought out his favorite mahogany rocking chair. Out of his aggression, he put it in the middle of the pathway and break the chair into pieces with a plumber's monkey wrench. And students, what is plumber's monkey wrench? A device that plumber used to fix taps, pipes and all that. Okay. He left it in the moonlight, a heap of varnished wicker and splintered wood. He never touched Mamachi again, but he never spoke to her either as long as he lived. When he needed anything, he used Kochu Maria or baby Kochuma as intermediaries. So, he left it there in the moonlight as it seems to be look like as a pile of polished wicker and small sharp fragments. And what is wicker? Wicker is a pliable twigs, typically of willow, plaited or woven to make furniture or other important things. Okay. So, and he never ever touched Mamachi. To beat is so far to do, even he stopped talking to her till his own death. Okay, जब तक वो मर नहीं गए तब तक वो उनके साथ बात नहीं करते थे. When he wanted something, he used Kochu Maria or baby Kochuma as mediatories. Okay, mediators as a mediators मतलब बिचौलिए के नाम पे उनको यूज़ कर लेते थे कुछ भी अगर काम जो है उनको होता था. Okay. In the evenings, when he knew visitors were expected, he would sit on the veranda and sew buttons that were not missing onto his shirt to create the impression that Mamachi neglected him. To some small degree, he did succeed in further corroding Einman's view of working women or wives, as he knew when the visitors often came in the evenings. So, he always sat on the veranda and pretend to sew the buttons that were already intact on the shirt, just to spoil the image of his wife. He wanted that people would disrespect Mamachi, that being a working woman, she has no interest in her husband's work. And to some small extent, students, he had succeeded in ruining the image of working women or working wives in IMNM. He bought the sky blue Plymouth from an old Englishman in Munnar. He became a familiar sight in Einmann, coasting importantly down the narrow road in his white car, looking outwardly elegant but sweating freely inside his woolen suits. He wouldn't allow Mamachi or anyone else in the family to use it or even to sit in it. The Plymouth was Papachi's revenge. So, from an Englishman in Munnar, he had brought a sky blue Plymouth. A Plymouth moth is a car, so it is of sky blue color. He used to ride over in the car down the narrow streets. तंग गलियों में वो अपनी कार लेकर घूमते थे. In his white car, looking externally stylish but sweating inside his woolen stuffs. तो अपने वुलन सूट में वो बहुत ही ज़्यादा अंदर से उनको जो है स्वेटिंग हो रही होती थी, लेकिन बाहर से एक्सटर्नली he is looking very stylish. He would not allow anyone to touch or even sit in the Plymouth. Okay, it was a revenge from his side. Papachi had an imperial entomologist at the Pusa Institute. After independence, when the British left, his designation was changed from imperial entomologist to joint director entomology. The year he retired, he had risen to a rank equivalent to director. So, at the Institute of Entomology, namely Pusa Institute, Papachi was an imperial entomologist, and as the time passes, he had been promoted to joint director of entomology, and at the eve of his retirement, he had risen to a rank equivalent to director. His life's greatest setback was not having had the moth that he had discovered named after him. So, the most upset thing that ever happened to him was not to be honored by the discovery of a moth that he had discovered himself. It fell into his drink one evening while he was sitting in the veranda of rest house after a long day in the field. So, the moth fell into his glass of wine while he was sitting in the veranda of rest house after so much of work done in the field. As he picked it out, he noticed its unusual dense dorsal tufts. He took a closer look. With growing excitement, he mounted it, measured it, and the next morning placed it in the sun for a few hours for the alcohol to evaporate. So, as he noticed the moth, he found that the moth was of an unusual appearance as compared to other famous moths. It has dense posterior clumps. Posterior हो गया, बैक साइड, ठीक है, क्लम्प हो गया कि एक गुच्छा जो है पीछे उसके पोस्टीरियर में एक गुच्छा टाइप से उसको लगा ऐसा. एज ही टुक अ क्लोजर look to his body. So, in excitement, he mounted, measured it, and left it to evaporate the alcohol absorbed by the insect. Mounted and mounted means टांग दिया उसने उसको, और फिर उसके बाद उसको क्या किया, measure किया and left it in the sun to absorb or to evaporate the alcohol that has been absorbed by the insect. Then he caught the first train back to Delhi to taxonomic attention, and he hoped fame after 6 unbearable months of anxiety. To Papachi's intense disappointment, he was told that his moth had finally been identified as a slightly unusual race of well-known species that belongs to the tropically family Lymandra. So, after that he just went to Delhi. He in the first train for the taxonomic attention, hoping widely to be honored after 6 months, and that time was very very full of anxiety for him. सोचो, उसको ये लग रहा था कि अब जो है उसका ऑनर जो है किसको मिलेगा, उन्हीं को मिलेगा, क्योंकि उन्होंने वो क्या किया है, डिस्कवर किया है. बट टू हिज disappointment, the department just told him that the moth he discovered has been identified as the slightly unusual race of a well-known species that belong to the tropical family of Limentary Day. So, students, for today's lecture, it is, I think, enough. So we will read the whole chapter in the next lecture. Till then, thank you, students, and you must read the chapter thoroughly and must find the difficult words from your chapter and write the synonyms also. Okay, thank you, students.